The useful fool is not the slow man, not the ignorant man, not even the morally corrupt man. He is the undisciplined man, the one whose inner fire has no reins, whose libido outruns his foresight, whose hunger announces itself before his intentions ever do. Machiavelli never needed to insult intelligence to explain manipulation. He understood something colder and more precise. Power does not need to defeat men who defeat themselves. The useful fool walks into the trap willingly, believing movement equals freedom, mistaking impulse for agency, unaware that the moment his desire becomes legible, he has already surrendered leverage. Libido does not make him weak in the childish sense. It makes him visible. And visibility is the first step toward control. There is a quiet moment that precedes every downfall, a small and almost forgettable instant where a man chooses relief over restraint. It is not dramatic. No music swells. No warning siren sounds. It happens in the pause before a text is sent, in the extra second spent lingering where he should have left, in the internal negotiation where he tells himself this one exception does not count. This is where the useful fool is born, not in ignorance, but in rationalization. He convinces himself he is still in control because he recognizes the impulse, yet recognition without command is meaningless. Greene would say this man has already revealed his weakness because power players do not hunt what resists, they wait for what reaches. Libido compresses time. It drags the future into the present and demands payment now. The disciplined man thinks in seasons, the aroused man thinks in minutes. This is the biological betrayal at the heart of manipulation. When desire surges, the mind narrows. Options disappear. Consequences soften. The long game becomes an abstraction, something to be dealt with later, if later even exists. In this state, intelligence becomes ornamental. Strategy dissolves into reaction. The man still believes he is choosing, but his choices begin to repeat themselves, and repetition is the fingerprint of predictability. The useful fool is not controlled because he lacks will. He is controlled because his will is hijacked by appetite. Machiavelli understood that rulers fall not when they are opposed, but when they are exposed. A man whose desire leaks into his behavior announces his price without ever naming it. He stays too long. He explains too much. He gives before terms are set. He confuses access with intimacy, attention with loyalty, sensation with value. None of these mistakes feel catastrophic on their own. That is the genius of libido as a weapon. It destroys men by increments, not explosions. Each small concession trains the next one until the man is no longer acting from position, but from need. At that point, he does not need to be forced. He can be led. The useful fool believes his hunger makes him alive, that desire is proof of vitality, that restraint is repression. This is the lie that keeps him soft. He confuses intensity with power, stimulation with purpose. In truth, libido without structure does not sharpen a man. It scatters him. His energy leaks into pursuits that do not build him, into dynamics where he holds no advantage, into games where the rules were written by someone calmer than him. He mistakes movement for progress, noise for momentum, pursuit for dominance. And all the while, someone quieter is watching, measuring, waiting for him to overextend one final time. This is not a moral failure, it is a strategic one. The world is not organized around fairness, it is organized around leverage. Men who cannot regulate desire hemorrhage leverage constantly. They reveal what they want, when they want it, and how badly they want it. That information alone is enough to turn them into assets for other people's plans. The useful fool does not realize he is useful because usefulness feels like participation. He is invited in, kept close, fed just enough possibility to remain invested. He is not discarded, he is utilized. And by the time he senses the imbalance, his pride is already entangled with the outcome. The first war is internal. Before enemies, before rivals, Before systems and seducers, there is appetite. A man who cannot command himself will always be commanded by something else. Libido is not the enemy, but ungoverned libido is a master that demands obedience while promising freedom. The useful fool kneels without being asked. The disciplined man never has to be pushed. Becoming Indecepta is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. Power does not chase desire, it studies it. The men who understand influence do not need to overwhelm or dominate. They only need to observe where a man's hunger points, because hunger always leaves a trail. Machiavelli knew that the most dangerous appetite is the one a man believes is private. Once desire escapes the interior world and begins shaping behavior, it becomes a handle, something that can be pulled, loosened, or tightened at will. Lust is not used as a hammer. It is used as a leash, subtle, light, barely felt, yet impossible to ignore once attached. The seducer does not rush. Greene's great insight was that control is rarely achieved through gratification, but through anticipation. Pleasure ends urgency. Anticipation multiplies it. The power player withholds just enough to keep the mind engaged, dangling proximity without closure, access without fulfillment. Libido fills the gaps on its own, projecting fantasies more powerful than reality could ever deliver. The useful fool believes he is being drawn forward by opportunity, not realizing he is being held in suspension. Waiting becomes investment. Investment becomes attachment. Attachment becomes compliance. Once libido is activated, behavior becomes predictable. This is where manipulation turns mechanical. The lust-driven man responds faster than he should. He agrees before terms are clarified. He compromises standards he once claimed were immovable. His emotional temperature rises, and with it, his transparency. Power players do not need to interrogate him. His actions confess everything. He begins to negotiate against himself, offering effort, resources, loyalty, or silence simply to stay in the game. At this stage, control is not enforced. It is accepted. The leash works because the man believes he is still walking freely. Machiavelli warned that rulers must never be seen as governed by appetite, because appetite erodes fear and respect simultaneously. The moment a man's desire is visible, he loses mystique, and mystique is authority's shadow. The lust-governed man cannot hold posture. His tone shifts, his presence weakens, he becomes eager, and eagerness is read as desperation no matter how well it is dressed. Those who seek power understand this instinctively. They place temptation where discipline is thin, then simply wait. The man will move himself out of position without being asked. Modern systems have refined this into science. Social platforms, pornography, advertising, and even professional environments operate on the same principle. Stimulate, delay, repeat. Arousal followed by partial reward keeps men orbiting, checking, chasing. The energy that could be consolidated into purpose is diffused into longing. The useful fool is not being attacked, he is being occupied. While he is focused on sensation, someone else is making decisions that shape outcomes. Libido becomes a fog, thick enough to obscure the larger game, thin enough that the man believes he can see clearly. The most dangerous aspect of lust-based control is that it feels voluntary. The man believes he is choosing to stay, choosing to give, choosing to pursue. But choice without full awareness is performance, not freedom. The environment has already been engineered. The pace has been set. The variables have been narrowed. The useful fool mistakes narrowed options for destiny. By the time he recognizes the pattern, his ego is already invested in proving it was worth it. Pride locks the leash tighter than any external force ever could. Power players understand one final truth. Men enslaved by libido do not need to be defeated. They need to be maintained. As long as desire remains unresolved, the man remains useful. He will show up. He will comply. He will exhaust himself for proximity to something that was never meant to be possessed. And in this state, he serves plans he will never be briefed on, goals he will never benefit from, and victories that will never carry his name. The passage from useful fool to untouchable man is not a transformation that happens in public. There is no announcement, no declaration, no dramatic rejection of the world that once held him hostage. It happens privately, in the interior hierarchy of the man himself, when he recognizes that the core problem was never temptation, but access. Too many forces had access to his nervous system. Too many impulses were allowed to issue commands. Libido had been promoted from fuel to authority, and the man paid for it with fragmentation. The untouchable man begins when that hierarchy is corrected. Desire is demoted. Mission is restored. This man learns the first great discipline: delay. Not hesitation born of fear, but delay born of dominance. He no longer reacts on first signal. He allows sensations to rise and fall without attaching meaning to them. Where the useful fool felt compelled to act, to respond, to pursue, to resolve, the disciplined man lets tension exist. He understands something most men never learn. Unresolved tension is not a problem, it is leverage. Libido once demanded release. Now it is contained, circulated, repurposed. Energy stops leaking, attention stops scattering. The man begins to feel heavier inside himself, more consolidated, less porous to influence. As this discipline stabilizes, time expands. The untouchable man regains the long view. He no longer sacrifices trajectory for sensation. He sees how manipulators rely on speed, fast replies, rushed decisions, emotional urgency, to keep men off balance. So he slows everything down. Messages sit unanswered. Invitations are neither accepted nor rejected immediately. Silence becomes a filter. Those who seek to control him reveal themselves through impatience. Those with substance remain. In this way, restraint becomes a sorting mechanism. He does not need to expose manipulators. They expose themselves. Predictability collapses next. The useful fool was readable because he was rhythmic. Stimulus in, response out. The untouchable man breaks rhythm deliberately. He refuses to be synchronized to desire cycles that are not his own. This alone makes him costly to manipulate. Seduction depends on timing. Marketing depends on habit. Control depends on pattern recognition. When patterns dissolve, leverage evaporates. The man is no longer easy to model. His actions are guided by internal law, not external bait. This creates a subtle unease in those who once relied on his hunger. They can no longer place him. Libido transmutation deepens this shift. Sexual energy, once expelled recklessly, begins to circulate upward, into posture, eye contact, speech cadence, patience. The man's presence changes before his circumstances ever do. He does not need to project dominance. It emerges naturally from coherence. His body is no longer in a constant state of chase or depletion. His attention is no longer fragmented across fantasies and pursuits. This creates an aura of self-containment that others feel instinctively. Where the lust-driven man reached outward, the disciplined man pulls inward, and inward power is far more difficult to extract. Machiavelli understood that rulers who appear governed by appetite invite rebellion and manipulation alike. The untouchable man avoids this fate not by suppressing desire, but by mastering visibility. His wants are no longer legible. His motivations are no longer obvious. He does not advertise hunger through eagerness or overinvestment. This restores mystique, and mystique restores authority. People become cautious around him, not because he threatens, but because he does not need. Needlessness destabilizes control structures built on stimulation and reward. The environment responds to this shift, even if it cannot explain it. Attention returns differently now. not loud, not desperate, but respectful. Opportunities arrive without coercion. Conversations change tone. People listen longer. Terms improve without negotiation. The man notices that when libido no longer governs him, others stop attempting to govern him as well. He has removed the handle they once used. This is not arrogance, it is consequence. Power recalibrates automatically around self-governed men. The final stage is internal and irreversible. The untouchable man no longer feels resentment toward those who once manipulated him. Resentment would imply lingering influence. Instead, there is clarity. He sees how systems function, how seduction operates, how fools are manufactured, not out of malice, but out of unmanaged instinct. He does not rage against the game. He steps outside its weakest mechanisms. Libido becomes a servant again, powerful, dangerous, but loyal. Desire fuels creation. Discipline governs direction. Thus remember, we are Indecepta. The Crusaders Bundle. 4 ruthless lessons. 1 unbreakable code. For a limited time, claim all 4 Indecepta audiobooks for the price of 3. Step inside the private archive of discipline, power, and psychological warfare, where lust is conquered, the mind is weaponized, and legacy is forged. Don't just listen. Arm yourself. Indeceptions.com